After 4 stellar seasons in Orlando, including a trip to the NBA Finals, Shaquille O'Neal decided it was time to move on.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, I've signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And keep in mind the word change. Change is for the good. I'm a military child, so I'm used to relocating every, 3 to 4 years. And the Lakers, they have great tradition. They have great big man tradition.
So in a match made in Hollywood, the NBA's most celebrated center joined the league's most glamorous franchise. As a member of the Lakers, Shaq continued his dominant play and restored the team's championship tradition. He led Los Angeles to the 2000 NBA title and the next 2 after that, as LA's three-peat stamped them as one of the greatest teams in NBA history. This week, it's Shaq, the Laker years, on Overtime.
In the long run, I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
He was the ABA. He revitalized the NBA.
Presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it up.
This man has a smile that lights up a television screen from here to Bangor.
There will never, ever, ever be another Larry Bird.
Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scores. Oh, my, Michael with his fifth win.
Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. The career of Shaquille O'Neal has had 2 different chapters, one set in Orlando, the other in Los Angeles. And today we'll focus on the L.A. part of the story, where Shaq has enjoyed his greatest success as the leader of the Lakers. We begin in the summer of 1996. O'Neal was the top prize in the NBA's free agent market. He was looking for a bigger stage for his talents, while the Lakers were looking for a star center. It turned out to be a perfect fit, and the team held a press conference to announce the signing of Shaq.
In basketball, there are a lot of players that are wonderful players. And I think in today's sports world, there are players that are stars. And there's one word that I've always felt that's been used very, very loosely, and that's superstar. The Los Angeles Lakers have acquired a 24-year-old superstar who we feel is going to bring us to that incredible level that this franchise has enjoyed in Los Angeles. Over the last number of days, I can't tell you how many highs and lows that I've gone through. From first meeting with Leonard and discussing what we could do to acquire Shaquille, and to last night at about 2:15 in the morning when we signed the contract, is probably the most relieved I've ever felt in my life. But I really can't explain. I've often thought that the birth of my children was something I'll never forget. And just the excitement of this, for us to sign him, really ranks right there with it. And I guess without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the newest Los Angeles Laker. He's going to wear number 34 for the Lakers. We have signed him to a 7-year career, to a 7-year contract, and I'm not going to divulge the terms of that as prior Laker policy, but I just can't tell you how excited I am, and our owner is absolutely beside himself. So we're delighted to be here. And Shaquille, I'm going to present you with your new jersey and also a hat.
Sorry about that. I just want to, thank you all for coming out. And in case you haven't figured it out yet, I've signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And keep in mind the word change. To me, change is for the good. And before we get started, I would like to thank Rich DeVos and the Orlando Magic for helping my dream come true in 1992 when they drafted me. They have a beautiful organization. They have a great organization, and they helped me to become the good player that I am today. I'd like to thank players for helping me look good: Penny Hardaway, Dennis Scott, Nick Anderson. And also, before we get started, I would like to end the rumor of feud between me and Brian Hill. There was no feud between me and Brian Hill. I respect Brian Hill as a man, as a coach. I love Brian Hill as a coach, and I want to wish the Orlando Magic good luck. And I'm just happy to, receive a good deal, and I'm just happy to be here. And thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it.
With Shaq in the fold, the Lakers had their second major building block. The first had arrived a month earlier when the team traded with the Hornets for the 13th pick in the draft, a high school phenom named Kobe Bryant. And that season, Shaq would lead L.A. to its best record since 1991, the last year of the Magic Johnson era. But the best was yet to come. And we'll jump ahead to the next phase of his career when Overtime continues. As he arrived in L.A., Shaquille O'Neal was following a long line of great Lakers centers, including George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he would prove he belonged in their elite company. Shaq was already a force when he joined the Lakers, getting better every year, a frightening situation for the rest of the league. He talked about his game in this feature from the 1998 season.
A 7-1 center, number 34, Shaquille O'Neal.
I try to get better in every aspect of my game. I just want to try to stay in the game and just play well. And every year, just take my game to a new level.
Well, this guy is making giant strides. Oh, yeah.
Well, I have about 150 moves.
Shaq spins. Oh, the extra move, he dunked it. Goodness. And he knocked David down.
My favorite move is my spin move, which is called the Black Tornado.
O'Neal into the lane. Slammer. Oh, baby. Save the women and children on that one.
Because when I spin through the lane, whoever's in the way get tossed up.
Get out of the way.
With Shaq, you notice him because he dunks so hard and he go down and he's staring and glaring.
Oh, don't do it to him like that, Shaq. Stop it.
It's incredible that you got a man that big that he make you look like you're a little boy.
When you combine the size and strength and power that he has with a knowledge of how to play the game, it makes him an almost unstoppable force.
And Shaquille has not only become a perennial all-star, he was named one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history.
Look out, George. Here he comes. 360 turn, slam, dunk.
For someone of his size and power to possess this sort of finesse, it's almost not fair.
Each night, Shaq delivers a powerful performance, one that is earning impressive reviews.
9.6. 9.6 on that 360.
When I go up for a power dunk, it gets the crowd into the game.
Lob under the Shaq. Oh! Shaq eyes at home with a right hand. Slam dunk.
Shaq's flamboyant play has brought new excitement to Los Angeles and awakened echoes of the past.
In the 80s, the crowd seemed to reverberate in there even when the game wasn't going on. It's back, and Shaq has brought it back.
Look at him. He's putting on a show.
But even after the game ends, the Shaquille O'Neal show continues.
They love him. He's a comedian.
Coach, remember this? The women on the balls.
A backstage pass to the locker room finds him showcasing his latest comedy routines.
Show them all the moves you possess inside.
Y'all don't know nobody like me. Off the court, silly, extroverted. But on the court, dominant, elbow throwing, dunking, everything.
Oh yeah, big shot.
O'Neal?
That would be me. That's how I do it in real life.
And while intense on the court, he's also the gentlest of giants.
Once you're around him, his personality is really contagious. I think the thing that's most touching for me when I see him is his interaction with kids. I mean, there's a genuine love for kids with him.
It's all because I'm a kid myself. My body is 27, but I'm only 11 years old. Therefore, I act the same way they act.
As a big kid at heart, Shaquille has always brought youthful exuberance to everything he does.
I love this game of basketball. It's my job, and I was taught that when you're doing your job, try to have fun. I'm just out there having fun, doing my job.
Shaquille O'Neal's early years with the Lakers ended in playoff disappointment, but 2000 brought new hope thanks to a new coach, Phil Jackson. And under Phil's guidance, Shaq was named the league MVP for the first time in his career. He also led L.A. to 67 wins and a trip to the NBA Finals against the Pacers. During that series in 2000, Ahmad Rashad took a closer look at the game and personality of the Lakers superstar.
Davis drives down the middle. Shaq gets the second block of the game. Shaq gets the ball on the fast break. He's going to give the ball under the Harper scores. He's by far the best player in the league this year.
Your imagination enhanced you to not become just a big man with just post-up moves and do just the regular stuff. In your imagination, you could play how many positions, you think?
I can play all positions, and I think that reason is because I've grown up in the hip-hop era. And when you listen to music, you start bobbing. And when you bob, you get rhythm. And when I'm on the basketball court, I like to, give them my rhythm. Give them my rhythm. So I think that's why I'm sort of a special, unorthodox type big man. I'm outstanding. Show them all the moves you possess inside.
There's no question that Shaquille O'Neal is part of the new generation, having grown up in the age of hip-hop, the internet, and video games.
O'Neal?
That would be me. That's how I do it in real life.
At the same time, he's a product of old-school values. Throughout his life, Shaq has been surrounded by strong authority figures who kept him on the straight and narrow. It began with his father, Philip Harrison, who was an Army sergeant, and continued with his college coach.
How big of an influence was Dale Brown?
He was a real big influence. He was the first college coach that I talked to. I was in Germany, and my father came home from work. He said, "It's a college coach that's going to be there." Because at that time, I wasn't really good, and probably if I would have gave it up, I probably wouldn't even went to college. So he said, "I want you to come here and talk."
I finished my lecture. I got a tap on the shoulder. I turned around. Here's this giant of a man standing there.
I pulled him to the side. I was like, "Yo, I'm 6'11". I can't dunk. Can you send me like a weightlifting program?"
And I said, "Sure." Went back to my bag to write his name down to send him our weight training program at LSU. And I said, "How long you been in service, soldier?" Big old smile comes across his face, and he says,
"I'm not in the Army. I'm only 13. 13? Where's your father?" I said, "There you go, right over there."
And the rest is history. He was a great player at LSU for us for 3 years, and a great person.
Shaq leads the break. Oh, fill it up, Shaq!
While Shaq has always been a great player, he's raised his game to a new level this season, being named the league MVP. And it's no coincidence that he's flourished under another firm leader.
How big of an influence has Phil Jackson had on you? A lot of talk about the two Phils in your life.
He's kept me out of trouble. See, what people don't understand is when you're messing with disciplinarians, being a former juvenile delinquent, if you don't want to hear them yell at you, just do what he said. I don't like to get yelled at anymore, so, Phil put it all down, what he wants me to do, and I just try to go out and do it. I've been doing it, and I've had an impressive year.
I can't imagine you being much of a juvenile delinquent knowing your father, who would not stand for much of that.
I was. There was one smack that just, changed everything around.
All of his individual success, Shaq knows the importance of winning a title. He's always understood that his enormous size creates giant expectations.
It's been happening ever since elementary school, when I was about this high, and I used to, dominate the other kids. The parents used to go, "He's not 7. I want to see his birth certificate right now. He's not 7 years old."
Yes, he's Goliath. Yes, he's the strongest man in the league and maybe the strongest man ever to play in the NBA.
A lot of people have compared you to Wilt Chamberlain. And Wilt Chamberlain used to say that people don't cheer for Goliath.
People think because we're big that, we have it easy. I think they think it's given to us, so they just try to make us work extra hard for it.
And you don't mind taking it?
No, I don't mind. I'm used to it ever since 7. When that one parent said, I want to see his I want to see his birth certificate now.
With his rare combination of size, strength, and skill, Shaq has been unstoppable. And in the finals, he's playing like a man on a mission.
How good has Shaquille O'Neal been this year? This man is possessed. He's got one thing on his mind, winning a championship. I've never seen him better.
But win or lose, and through all the contradictions, Shaquille O'Neal will always know exactly who he is.
Who is the real Shaq?
Me.
Off the court, silly, extroverted. But on the court, dominant, elbow throwing, dunking, everything.
Soft voice, funny, 28/11 years old, and just like to have a good time.
It's clear that Shaq was enjoying himself that June, especially on the court, where he dominated the finals. Against Indiana, he averaged 38 points and 17 rebounds as the Lakers won their first NBA title in 12 years. And Shaq became just the third player to be named MVP of the regular season, the All-Star game, and the finals in a single season. Finally, he was a champion. But he wasn't stopping there, as we'll see when overtime returns. When he first came to Los Angeles, Shaquille O'Neal was still a work in progress and still trying to prove he was a winner. Well, he's proven it beyond a doubt, having turned the Lakers into a dynasty while becoming one of the greatest centers of all time. But while he's serious when it comes to winning, Shaq has always maintained his fun-loving personality. He displayed that side and also reflects on his Laker years in this feature from 2002.
Let me say you something, man. My name is Shaquille O'Neal. I used to be the beast of the East. Now I'm the great test of the West. We're in the locker room, and I'm going to look at my boys' Gators. Last time I touched them, they bit me. Let's see what they do this time. But the more you whine, the more bigger I get. And the more bigger I get strong. And the more stronger I get, nobody can stop me.
But while Shaq has had plenty of fun, he's also had his share of frustration during the years in L.A.
We go back a long way. We've been through the Kobe shooting air ball era.
For the tie, air ball at the end by Kobe Bryant. And the Utah Jazz going to the Western Conference Finals.
Dale Harris era, the Kurt Rambis era, the Dennis Rodman era, Shaq missing free throws era.
You'd love to go to Shaq because he can score, but you don't want to go to him because he can't shoot free throws.
So we've been through too much to let it just slip away right now. I'm glad Jerry West called Phil Jackson at his Montana log cabin house. We were a bunch of hungry troops that needed to be leaded, and I was giving orders from Phil on how basketball should be played, and that's all I was focusing on.
Shaq spins. Oh, the extra move!
think we get motivated by criticism. We get motivated by other franchises thinking that they can play with us. And we had a dismal season. However, still got the second best record in the league. Didn't have home court advantage in the playoffs. A certain team said that we wouldn't win without home court advantage, and we had to step up in the playoffs. We're a close-knit group, and nothing can bring us apart. And it's just been fun. And a couple times we've had a chance to make history. I think the guys like that. I think when it's all said and done, they want to see their names in the NBA historical ledger. And when you talk about great teams, they want to be mentioned. You know, you talk about the Pistons, you talk about the Bulls, you talk about the old Lakers, talking about the Celtics, of course. I think if you talk about these Lakers that I'm playing with, they want to be mentioned also. And that's what I'm playing for now. And I'm playing for as many championships as I can get.
Shaq not only the MVP of the regular season, but also the playoffs. Look at the tears running down his cheeks.
Back-to-back titles for the Los Angeles Lakers.
When my book is closed, I want to have a hell of a book. Greatest high school player in Texas history. Went to LSU, All-American, got his jersey retired. Started off in Orlando, was a great player. Made the top 50 team, the youngest ever to do that. Moved to LA. Got swept every time that was in the playoffs.
San Antonio Spurs have swept aside the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference semifinals, and they did it convincingly.
Met Phil Jackson, won a couple championships.
A three-peat and a sweep for the world champion Los Angeles Lakers.
Shaq retires, becomes chief of police or sheriff somewhere. That's how I want my book to end.
Shaq may not be kidding about becoming a police chief or a sheriff. He has an interest in law enforcement and has even taken some police training classes in Los Angeles. He'd certainly command plenty of respect as an officer, but for now, Shaq is still laying down the law in the paint as the NBA's most dominant player. That's it for this edition of Overtime for NBA TV. I'm Bruce Beck.
We've been working hard all year to bring the championship to Los Angeles. Remember, we're all in this together. This is LA's moment to shine. Let's show the world. Be safe.